Hey guys, it's Fleccas. We're here again, Tom Bradley International Airport, LAX, where it all started just a few months ago. Happy to report, new outfit. Pretty good. What are we protesting today?
Everything.
Tell me something though.
Sexism, misogyny, Trump, Pence, the American government, capitalism, the patriarchy, everything.
We're protesting the bans that are going on and the really ugly rhetoric about illegals and terrorists coming in with refugees or whatever.
When you talk about the Muslim ban, what are you referring to?
The sanction and the grouping of different countries that Trump has put together so that...
Obama put that together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's a really kind of absurd notion that like Muslims are going to come in en masse and like force us to wear burqas. Like it's stupid. It's like a fantasy that people want to like play into. Because
there was a case in Michigan where there was genital mutilation.
No, genital mutilation has actually happened. Like you have
That's part of Sharia law.
It is. I can't
trust me.
I can't attest to it either way because I haven't read the Quran.
Got it. All right, very cool. Who am I here with?
I'm just going to say anonymous.
Anonymous. And if you guys remember, we spoke to her a few months back in February.
Irregardless, that's not fair to say.
Irregardless is not a word. You were anonymous then as well, remember?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, welcome back.
One of the other protesters was telling me that it's actually against the Constitution for America not to accept other people who are being persecuted in their land.
Well, in the Constitution as well, there's a clause that allows the president to decide which people can be excluded from being allowed to come into the U.S., whether or not their background and beliefs are detrimental to our society.
Right. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what it just seems like, it doesn't really seem like the government's afraid of terrorism, more as it is afraid of just the people. And I don't know, personally, I think it's more of like a classist issue than a political issue or a terrorist issue.
Do you think Sharia law is an issue?
I'm not sure what that is.
What about Europe, though? What's going on in Europe?
So many things are going on. Can you specify the question? Like what's...
The refugees leaving the war-torn countries went to Europe, sexual assaults through the roof in all the countries they went to.
You're going to have to show me the statistics for sexual assault through the roof, because I can tell you one thing, sexual assault has always been through the roof. Sexual assault is endemic in every culture.
People that are coming from other countries that are fleeing what they're fleeing, whether they don't think that gay rights are valid or don't believe in human rights, that isn't their responsibility because they're refugees. The responsibility is on us as America to change our country.
Like, well, they're going to Europe right now, and we basically watched what happened, and they went to Europe. Look at the terrorist attacks. How many terrorist attacks happen in Europe that are caused by radical Islam?
Well, I'm not saying that people don't use religion and intertwine it to their crazy whatever, but what I am saying, however, is that I'm losing my train of thought. I have been screaming my lungs out for a couple hours right now. I can do a think.
Like, I have been criminalized at peaceful demonstrations, but I've also been involved in, organizing demonstrations that have gotten out of control and turned into
You may or may not have incited a few riots.
Exactly, yes. So I do cover my face for that reason.
We're telling our people to be afraid of terrorists, and we're telling our people to be afraid of radical Islam, but what the is our country doing for us?
Protecting us from radical Islam. That's what the Muslim ban is. I mean, it's not a Muslim ban either. It's only 6 countries. Over 1 billion Muslims live outside of those countries. It's not just Muslims can't come in. It's from these 6 countries where terrorism is trained and it's a hotbed, it's there's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Personally, I think that you're trying to protect us from people that are outside of our country, or people that have hurt a few amount of people. I don't think terrorism is as big as an issue as I feel like the government is trying to use terrorism as a way to kind of block and hide everything else that's going wrong. I mean, the police are terrorists to the people of America.
Black Lives Matter. Hey guys, you guys know what's going on in Cheshire, right? Right. What do we do? We got our eyes on Cheshire. Eyes on Cheshire! Eyes on Cheshire!
I mean, ultimately, I think that to the president and to the government, that the Muslim ban and trying to keep people out of their country, like what you're talking about, I don't think that's really what they're talking about. I feel like it's more of like...
I mean, that's exactly what he's talked about.
I think that those aren't the things they care about. I mean, there's no humanity in our government anymore. You know,
But they're protecting us. That's where the humanity lies.
How?
Because they, like the American people.
Black people?
Yeah.
Women,
Anyone who's affected by terrorism.
people?
Anyone affected by terrorism.
So part of the things that are driving terrorism it's a toxic back and forth. They do obviously terrible things, but we also, as a democracy, as a society that wants to move towards nonviolence and humanism, have to acknowledge that we do things that invoke rage, justified rage sometimes. I mean, in America, hate crimes against Muslims have gone through the roof. So obviously we have to protect ourselves. I don't believe entirely in open...
Where are you seeing those, though?
Well, you do know, heard about the girl who was recently killed in, I think, Virginia, right? She was Muslim, and she was just walking home, and she was killed.
We're not free anymore. In all reality, like, we're not free to do whatever we want. We're not. Like,
what can't you do?
I mean, like, you could do whatever the hell you want, really, but, like, the government's taking our rights away. You know,
Where are they taking our rights away?
I mean, you can't just not let a certain group of people, like, racism, I mean, obviously that's always been around. That's, like, something that's always, but most recently...
Where are you seeing racism in the U.S.?
Because look what's going on here at the airport, you know?
What's going on here?
I think that, obviously, with 9/11, terrorism is real, and people are mad at what America has done to their country. But I think radical terrorism is in America, and I think Americans are the radical terrorists.
Interesting.
In terms of, like, just national security, when we have in our own situation politicians that are being so cruel and so ugly in what they say and the policies that they're pushing, you're definitely creating a breeding ground for people to go, maybe those Americans are evil. Maybe I should join ISIS.
I believe that people can survive self-sufficiently off the land. And
You think that's what we should do in the U.S.?
I think that's how the U.S. was founded, and that was like the original beliefs of this country.
It developed all the way to where we're at now.
Exactly.
But it's like if you wanted to make an egg sandwich with being self-sufficient, how would you do that?
I mean, you'd have to raise a f***ing chicken and, you know.
Is that the answer?
I don't know. I think it's very complex. I think that, you know, you can't just say like, oh, it's like in a, you know, people, you have to. The American dream is being able to have the ability to do what you want.
So, to get rich and become president.
Sure, you could.
American dream.
They'll charge people with unlawful assembly for being somewhere they can't be. Like, if these cops wanted to right now.
Like the highway?
Yeah.
Go in front of the cars on the highway? That's unlawful assembly, right?
Yeah, because you're obstructing traffic, but that's like also like a question of like, well, the highway is like public property. That comes into like the whole like jurisdiction like question, like, yes, there's obstruction of traffic because we're giving these cars and these machines power over us.
But you're impeding other people's freedom to drive places. If you block the street and you're saying, oh, you're stopping my right to protest, I can't block the street, what about the person's right to drive on the public road?
If people are upset that we're out here like fighting for their rights, then they're obviously like just like they're ignorant. You're sitting in your car going about your day and like we're out here like putting our lives on the line to like protect your freedom. So like if you're upset that like you have to sit in traffic for an extra like half an hour while we're out here like on the fucking freeway, like that's where it gets tricky, is the fact that like we have the right to be on public property.